what we want to give players generally, in our opinion, in our organization is like, we talk a lot about external cues. So like, if somebody's hitting and we're concerned about something physical, something that we would do is like, we would give them targets outside of them to hit the ball towards. Like, we want you to hit the ball there. Figure out how do I do it? I don't know. You're a professional athlete. You'll figure out how to do it. We don't want to input something into your brain that you can then think about 3 weeks later when the game's on the line in the eighth inning and they bring in the guy throwing 100 and you're like, what was that they were saying? Oh, shit. And then you're late, and there we go, because it's the theory in psychology is called reinvestment theory. It's what makes elite performers choke under pressure, is they go back and think about these kind of internal cues that somebody's given them a long time ago that helped them get there, especially when they get stressed out and nervous. Because I said earlier, right, we are attached to ourselves as a kid, like to that emotional state as a kid. So I start feeling the pressure, I start reverting back to the things that I know. And what we want to do is we want to train and build athletes that it doesn't matter what the situation is. The body's going to do what it's been trained to do, even if their mind is getting in the way. Even if their mind's getting in the way, not just because they're perfectly focused Zen warrior players all the time. No, like, it's going to get in the way. It's going to be noisy. So is your practice, are you training in a way that you don't have to think about what you need to do? Your body just does it, and you can focus on the tactical components of the game. That's where we want all that brain power going.
You said something earlier along the lines there that, you try to clear your mind, but you can only clear it so much, which like stuck with me, because I feel like, again, it's one of those things. It's like a little bit of an realistic expectation of the idea of like, come on, just clear your head, like relax, whatever. It's like, well, that's it. And again, from personal experience, I'm a, freaking head case of thoughts. And like, there's times I'm like, you just need to relax and clear your head. And I literally am like sitting there going, how does anybody ever clear their head?
Yeah,
right.
it's a totally unrealistic idea. It's like, also like, think positive. Like, well, if we were in control of our thoughts, I wouldn't have 95% of the things that go through my head happen, but they happen all the time. They pop up anyway. It's like we're one of the ways I've heard it described best is to talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself, because if you listen to the narrative in your head, you're the worst. So, okay, I'm the worst. I'm a failure. I'm a fraud. I'm not gonna be great. We do that. Our mind trends negative. We do that because we want to protect ourselves from the future state negative emotion of failure that are associated with failure. So generally the mind is negative. If it's wandering, if it's not focused on something, it's generally negative. And that's okay. That's who we are. That's like part of us. Like those thoughts are anything that we can observe is not really us. But I don't want to get into a philosophical conversation here, but anything that we can observe is not really, you can observe those things. So like, listen to what it has to say and learn how to, it's in learning how to let it go. And not in like trying to replace it. Like, you're not going to replace it with something positive. Like, if you try it the next time you're out there doing anything, if you're like, then when you have a negative thought, if you go, no, I'm going to be positive, like, then you're immediately going to go like, shut up, dork. Like, like that's the internal battle that happens with me. And I know that a lot of people have felt the same way when I've talked to them about it. So like, that's, I think, a really important point is we are negative. We do get upset. We do get frustrated. And like, sure, guys, as you get older, you're better at like not showing it. But like I said earlier, I know a lot of players. I know players that'll be in the Hall of Fame that I played with, and they were frustrated, disappointed, sad, and embarrassed all the time playing baseball. And just as they got older, they could hide it better. But like, those feelings don't change as we mature and as we get older. How we manage and deal with them do change. So learning how to reorient yourself, again, I'll say it again, learning how to reorient yourself in the middle of competition. When you notice, that's the first step, is noticing. But when you notice that you're way out of sorts, if you can just do that as a 12-year-old, you're way ahead of the game. You can go, oh, look at that, I'm really upset and frustrated. I learned how to audit for a second internally and notice that, man, like the way the coach looked at me made me feel a certain way. And now I'm trying too hard and I'm squeezing the bat with a death grip and I'm swinging before the guy throws the ball. If I can notice that as a kid, I'm way ahead. Because we've got people in the big leagues that don't notice it yet.
Oh, sure. And like knowing yourself and how you deal with things and what you actually like, sometimes we think we dislike. So like, I would say it was like 2 years ago. And, I'm the type of guy, like, I got to have a new project. It's like, oh, okay, I want to start a new business here. I want to start a podcast, whatever. Right. And my now wife at the time, my girlfriend, she's like, you know, let's go do blah, blah. I'm like, just let me get through this project and then we'll move on to the next. And she goes, yeah, but you realize once you get through that project, you're going to have another project and then you're going to have another project. And it was like eye opening. She made me realize I'm like, this is what I like, the chaos. Even though I'm like, overstressed myself to do this, the reality is I like this. So like my own like mantra to myself, we joke about it as a couple is like embrace the chaos, because the reality is like there's something that we keep getting drawn to it and we like it. So why are we getting stressed out about it when we keep voluntarily putting ourselves in that situation?